This week we're going to highlight early planting conditions for U.S. corn. We're also going to take a look at updated weather conditions for corn pollination in Brazil and wrap things up with long-term trends in December corn futures. Hi, this is Brian Basting with Advanced Trading. Let's talk about the corn market. We've moved into April here, and of course that means it's time to plant corn in the U.S. That's where we're going to start out this week, looking at planting conditions across the U.S. We're going to start out looking at moisture conditions over the last 30 days. Now our slides this week, as usual, are courtesy of T-Storm Weather. We're looking here at past precip for the last 30 days. You can see that all across the western corn belt, in particular, Kansas, Nebraska, western Iowa, is dry, of course excessively dry across Kansas. As we move to the northern plains, we really don't have, obviously with all the snowpack up there, any issues now except the snowpack. And we're going to highlight that in a moment in terms of how that situation may be changing. Across the eastern corn belt, plenty of moisture over the last month. Let's turn our attention to the short-term forecast now. We're looking at a change here. Obviously, as we tape here on Tuesday, a major weather blizzard across the northern plains. Hopefully everyone is okay with that event. We're looking now at the weekend, however, and a sharply warmer pattern is going to develop here, particularly in the southern areas. As you move north, maybe not quite as warm, but still a major pattern shift. Now what will that result in? Let's shift gears now and look at the potential for flooding across that corn area in the northern belt. Obviously we're looking at some melting snow, very gradual of course, but warmer temperatures across all that snowpack is probably going to lead to some field flooding across that highlighted area. Now let's look ahead to next week. We're looking into next Thursday through next Sunday, April 13th to the 16th. We are looking for a precip pattern to basically develop here west to east, but at the moment it doesn't look like it's going to be a heavy amount. So let's quantify that now. Let's look at the next 2 weeks as we move in the middle of April, what the total precip situation looks like. Again, we're looking at the next 14 days here. The biggest concern, of course, for early planting delays is that northern plains area. Obviously, some heavy snowpack up there is going to be melting the next couple weeks here. We're looking further south, however. Most of those areas in the heart of the Midwest are looking at normal rainfall over the next 2 weeks. The exception being, of course, western Kansas and parts of Missouri. But overall, it looks like we're going to start to warm up quite a bit and dry out moving into the middle of April. In that scenario, of course, we're looking for planting progress. Let's take a look at planting progress as of early April. Now, very early here, but nationwide we're at 2%. You can see here on the map that most of that progress, of course, is in the south. That's equal to the 5-year average. Let's now move on to look at the last 5 years. Obviously, again, we're just getting started here, but I want to highlight that over the next 2 weeks, on average from April 2nd to the 16th, we'll plant another about 3% of the crop, so we should be around 5% of the crop planted by mid-April. Let's shift gears now and focus on Brazil. Let's look at where that corn is produced in Brazil. Again, 4 key states here: Mato Grosso, Goiás, Paraná, and Mato Grosso do Sul. About 80 to 85% of that corn in Brazil. We highlighted this last week, but it bears repeating as we move into April, that rainfall drops off quite a bit the next 60 days. So that's something to keep in mind because this corn now is in the vegetative stage and will be pollinating toward the end of April here into early May. So let's look at some precip over the last 30 days. You can see that black line here for 2023 is starting to inch up a bit, but here's the key message as we look at an analog year, as it were, or look at a different year, I should say, 2021, highlighted in the green. Much drier. That was a year where we had a much smaller crop in Brazil. Here's the key message as we wrap things up. For the moment, we're looking at a much more moist situation in Brazil compared to 2 years ago. That brings us to our short-term forecast. Let's look at where that 14-day precip looks like. Quite moist. Why is that important? Because again, this early corn here in Mato Grosso is pollinating in just a couple weeks. So it looks like the potential is still there for a big crop in Brazil. Let's wrap things up this week looking at trends in December corn futures. Now, December corn here is trading about $5.60 a bushel. That's still about $1.45 below last year, but it's still 90 cents above the 5-year average for this time of year. We strongly encourage you to continue to work closely with your trusted risk management advisor to defend your balance sheet. Now, if you'd like more information, please feel free to contact us at 800-664-2321. We'll put you in contact with one of our risk management consultants who'll be happy to visit with you at your convenience. Remember, we upload every Wednesday. Make sure to subscribe to our channel to never miss an upload. And next week, on Tuesday, April 11th, we'll have a live update following the monthly supply-demand report from the USDA at 11:20 Central Time. Thanks a lot. Have a good week.